hello, and welcome to the Backpacking Podcast. We are back for Season 2, Jeremiah.
What is up, folks?
Season 2. I can't believe we
Podcast
made
land.
it. I can't believe we made it.
Dude, we somehow survived. I don't know what happened.
I mean, neither one of us died of COVID, so that was a big plus.
I like that.
Your beard still looks immaculate.
Yeah, Bridget said I need to shave it next month, so
Oh, dude.
we'll see.
If we do that, that's going to have to be live.
Yeah, dude, I've seen some people do it for like charity. You seen like
I think you should. I think you should do it for charity. We could do it for the John Kelly Needs a New Backpack fund. That would be awesome. I think we could raise a lot of money for that.
Count me out, man.
You would
Jeremiah
be like
needs
that.
a new backpack.
Hey, so cool thing today.
Yeah.
You know, a few weeks back, we were talking on the podcast. Actually, it's been more than a few weeks now. I guess it's been a couple months.
Yeah.
We were talking on the podcast, and we were Tim Watson came up in conversation, and I made the comment, there will come a day when Tim Watson will talk to me. I will meet this guy, and he will talk to me.
Yeah.
Do you remember this? And you said it'll never happen.
That'll never happen.
Well, today, you have been proven wrong. because today we have a special guest on this show, and it is the one, the only Tim Watson.
Welcome, Tim Watson.
Thank you. Thanks very much for having me, guys.
We're really glad to have you on here, man. Really glad to have you on here. The truth about this is you guys know each other.
Yeah, we know each other in person.
Yeah, you guys have done some trips together and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the connection here. Why don't you, Tim, tell us a little bit about your history with backpacking and what you got into, how you got into it, I guess, and why you still do it.
Yeah, my friend who some of you know, Subaru Josh, will always take credit for getting me into backpacking, which is pretty much true. Back in 2016, I want to say, maybe 2015, Josh was getting into hiking. And so we were he wanted to do a day hike to Hocking Hills. And he wanted to pull a group together. And you know how it is when you get a group together, is that everyone wants to go until the day of.
Right, exactly.
And
every time.
So he pulled it all together. And he's like, dude, you still want to go? You're the only one who wants to come. And we barely knew each other, just acquaintances. And I said, yeah, I'm still going to go. And we went to Hocking Hills. It was the middle of winter. It was cold. It was in January, but it was an awesome time. And that spoke to me. I think I came home from that day hiking trip and I was like, I'm going to hike the AT. I don't know about anyone else, but
Wow.
I'm going to go out there. And I was looking at packs and I was looking at all this stuff. And it wasn't until about 6 months later that I had my first trip to the Smokies.
Wow.
I think I YouTubed it. That was one of my first at least my first backpacking video was doing the Hannah Mountain Trail, Abrams Falls, and Gregory Bulb. And it's been awesome since then.
That's great, man.
Who'd you go with on that trip, or did you do solo for the first backpacking?
No, it was with Subaru. So Subaru Josh came with me, and he always laughs because we have different memories of that trip. Like for me, I was like, it was hard, but it was a blast. And
Yeah.
He came out of it. He's like, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah, he's the coffee guy, isn't he? That guy,
Yeah. Yep.
Subaru Josh, we need to get him on here at some point and just
Yeah.
talk coffee with him because that dude, he knows his coffee.
I love him. And
Yeah.
I think the first time that we met in person, we had talked a little bit online, but I didn't even know you were going to be there, and I kind of hopped out of the vehicle at Red River Gorge in Kentucky, and then I saw you and I think Subaru and maybe Adam or Lance from Outland, and I was like, oh, hey, Tim. And then we kind of started talking about weight loss because I think me, you, and Josh had cut a bunch of weight.
Yeah. I lost, let's see, I think 30 pounds just before getting into backpacking.
Wow.
So I was looking for a kind of a hobby that would help me keep weight off. And so that just kind of dovetailed nicely. I was into running and just trying to cut back a little bit more and just staying healthy. That was the goal, is just to get healthy. Because I was like, this is not good for a long period of time to stay at the way I was. I was 250. I think I got down all the way to 210. And then I was like, 210 was a little too small for me. I remember being like, I feel too skinny. Like something's wrong. I just feel too skinny. And I had a little bounce back. So yeah, I feel pretty comfortable where I'm at right now. I'm about 230.
Nice. Now, this is a side question. It has nothing to do with your history or past or anything. Just out of curiosity, I noticed you're sporting the beard these days. So what brought about the beard growth as opposed to just keeping the iconic mustache?
I've had the mustache for as long as I've known, so probably since puberty, and I've just always just kept the mustache. And occasionally I'll grow the beard out when I get lazy, but I never passed that prickly stage
Oh, it's
of like,
itchy.
oh, this itches. Yeah, it just itches. And my wife was not a big fan of that stage at all. So usually I would go for maybe a week and she'd be like, okay, you need to get rid of that now. But
Nice.
somehow during this quarantine COVID time, what ended up happening is I got past that point and she's like, I actually kind of like it. And it doesn't hurt her.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she's totally on board with it. And that's really what did it. It's just laziness from being at home. And I think to myself, well, I don't have to shave, so here's what it is, I guess. I actually just trimmed the beard a week or two ago, so it's lower, but she likes that look, that kind of trimmed, defined beard look. So that's what I'm going to go with for now. But when Jeremiah sees me again, probably I'll be back to what it was.
Happy wife, happy life, man.
Dude,
Exactly.
You got to do it right.
they say the sexiest beard length is 5-day stubble.
Ooh, interesting.
I don't
Really?
know. I don't know how true that is. It's probably like,
Who is they?
I think it was like some magazine, like some survey or something.
Yeah.
But honestly, I've never answered a survey for a magazine, so I don't know who those people are.
I
that
want to
would
know who
even-
they are because people always say they say.
It's the collective they, man.
Yeah.
It's Illuminati.
Yeah.
You never know.
The Illuminati.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, we're gonna meet up soon, and you're gonna see this beard. And I have been treating it every day, twice a day. Do you do anything for your beard?
And since I trimmed it, no, but usually what I do, the big thing I do is I wash it and condition it every day. And then I actually straighten it every day.
How?
Actually, that was one of my purchases this quarantine time is I got a cheap beard straightener. And yeah, that's a thing.
You've inspired me on
Beard
that, by the
straight.
way. You need to know this. Like, I watched the Shill Brothers thing. I guess it was last week or the week before, whenever it was. And you mentioned a beard straightener, and my eyes lit up and my ears perked up, and I just kind of listened. And I went online and I found a bunch of these things all over Amazon.
Right? Yeah,
And-
they
and
are.
I'm like, I need to get one of these because if I don't take good care of my beard, I start looking like Joe Dirt, and it's just not a good thing. So I'm gonna have to invest in one of these things. They're not that expensive; it's like $20 or something.
Yeah. And you can, because I'm cheaper and I was like, I think I found one for $14. I'm like, okay, at least it'll be worth a shot and see what happens. And it works. I mean, you dry your beard mostly in the morning and leave it like a little bit damp, but not super damp, and then just let it heat up. So usually what I do is hop in the shower, plug that straightener in just before I hop in the shower. When I'm done showering, then I'll straighten my beard. And it looks good.
I need to be doing that,
I don't know about that, man.
dude. I'm looking pretty haggard right now. Mine's like kind of all over the place
You
at
look
times.
good, man.
I did stuff to it this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely treated it this morning a little bit. I knew we were gonna do video, and I didn't want to look like my normal self. So
You didn't want to bum out.
yeah, I was like, I'm gonna be on video, so I put on my best Star Wars T-shirt and got my beard cleaned up. So
Oh, look at this, dude. Can you read that?
the Day Hiker.
Yeah, I found this shop down in Gatlinburg. We were on vacation because there's only two places you go on vacation if you're from Kentucky. There's like the Pigeon Forge Gatlinburg area and Myrtle Beach. For some
Right,
reason, that's
right.
where everybody goes.
They
And-
go to Myrtle Beach and get coronavirus.
yeah, we avoided it.
And they go to Gatlinburg and they go to the Pepper Palace.
Oh, dude, there's so many shops down there. You can just eat. You can be like, I'll take a whole turkey leg
I
and a
know.
giant pizza, like an 18-inch pizza.
Yeah.
But there was this little hiking shop. This lady, she checked out in front of me, and I was just buying this shirt, right? And this lady checked out, and she was like asking about maps and places to hike around the Smokies. And
Yeah.
I talked to her and told her like download all trails and that kind of stuff. And she was ringing out, and you know how they put like chapstick and lighters and stuff like that, gum and stuff around cash registers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in this shop, they had all kinds of like little hiking accessories, like bottle clips to put your bottle on your backpack and that kind of stuff. And
Are they the official Dan Becker bottle clips?
does he have his own brand?
I think Z-Packs or whoever makes those things sent him like an entire box
You stick it,
full of them.
you stick like the bottle in the little
Yeah, and
clip.
then the clip and you like hang
Yeah.
it on your backpack or
That's
something.
what it was.
Dude, you should hear him and Carl Mandrioli from Backpacking and Blisters get into it over that.
Oh, they get mad at each
I
other?
think they're friends until they start talking about the backpacking bottle clip thing.
Well,
Then
I've
it becomes a battle. It's really entertaining.
I didn't buy one of those, but this lady bought a bear bell, like a jingle bell, and I was
Yeah.
like, no,
A bear bell? Is that a thing?
Yeah, you seen them,
Yeah.
Tim?
Yeah, I've only seen them once or twice around when I've hiked.
Okay,
I
I just
seen it.
realized what you're saying. I'm thinking to myself, a bell that looks like a bear.
No.
When you said that, so I'm sitting there imagining myself. In my head, I'm going, why in the world would you want a bell that looks like a bear?
No,
I'm with you now. I'm
like
with you now.
the ones that's on Santa's sleigh. If
To
you were to
scare
cut
'em
one
away.
of those off,
Yeah.
it's so that you alert them before you get to them. Right, you don't want to spook a bear.
Right.
You want them to know ahead of time. Well, she bought one of those, and I actually saw on my first ever overnighter backpacking trip I done was through the Smokies, and there was a Swedish couple or something that they had one of these bear bells, and this lady bought one, and I was like, man, that's really not for me, but I thought about telling her, yeah, I get it. I thought about telling her, man, I don't think it's a good purchase, but I was like, she's at the cash register and this lady's ringing her up, and I was like, I don't have the heart to be like, I don't know if I'd buy that. But to each their own, I guess, you know.
Everybody's got to do what they got to do, man. Everybody's got to do what they got to do. So Tim, let me ask you this, because you said that first trip in the Smokies, that was one of your first YouTube videos, right?
Yeah.
So what was the switch that turned on that made you go, I want to do YouTube videos?
I think I've mentioned this before, probably in a previous video of mine, but I used to watch MKBHD on YouTube.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a huge. He's a tech reviewer and just technology in general. And he was making videos. I think he did a video of some kind, and he said, "Hey, man, you just got to make a video and start, and find something you're passionate about, and make a video." And I thought, okay, I guess I'll do that. I mean, because it was a time in my life, 2016, where I had switched employers and it wasn't the best fit. So I needed to find some sort of outlet. And so it just turns out YouTube was there. My kids were pretty young back when I started YouTube. And I was like, oh, I got some time. Because usually when they're little, they're in bed at 6:37 when they're super little.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, okay, well, I guess got to find something to do. So that's what I kind of got into is YouTube and starting videos.
That's cool. I remember back in 2015, a buddy of mine asked me to do Mount Kilimanjaro with him. And
wow.
And I said yes, and I shouldn't have. No, I should have, because it was awesome. But I had to train a lot that year, but I also had to do a lot of studying on equipment and gear and stuff. And so I did a lot of video watching back then. Guys like Darwin weren't a big deal yet. You know, he was just doing the Appalachian Trail at that point. Dixie wasn't a big deal yet. I hadn't heard any of your stuff because obviously you weren't there yet. But then I was going to do the Sheltoe Trace a couple years later, and it's 2017, and I'm training for that. And I came upon a bunch of backpacking videos, and one of the videos I saw was a video of yours, and I think it was titled "You're Doing It Wrong." I think is what the video was titled. And I remember seeing that, and I'm going to shoot straight with you right now. Like, this is going to be honest. I saw that, and I thought, what an arrogant guy to be like telling me I don't know what I'm doing. Like, who does this, you know? And I remember, I didn't know much about these videos back then. That was just like clickbait, you know, and stuff. But so I just
clicked on it, right?
I actually avoided your videos for a while. If you can believe it. I actually was like, I'm not watching this guy's video. What a jerk. I'm not doing it. And so I didn't watch it. And it was like maybe a year later, not even years, maybe a few months later. And I was looking up something. I was trying to decide, do I want to go in a hammock or do I want to go in a tent? And ended up pulling up a couple of your videos, and then I subscribed and I just started watching your videos. And so it's some entertaining stuff, man. You got a lot of good tips and stuff. But I got to be honest with you. At first, I just thought you were a jerk, so I couldn't watch the videos.
I gotta think about that video now. Which one what it was? That was just when there were. If you go back and look at my videos, it's funny because I don't know when I started doing those kind of like talking head type videos.
Yeah.
And Dan, you guys know Dan does a bunch of them now. But I started doing it, and then I kind of stopped because I'm like, I'm not really a big fan of doing those videos for me.
Right.
Occasionally, if I ever come back more regularly, I'll do them again. But I remember thinking, even when usually those videos kind of make me conflict because I'm like, how am I going to title this? Because I really don't want to draw, push people away, like you mentioned, but I want to be able to hook you that you want to go ahead and click and watch a video.
Yeah.
So I got to know Backpacking with Jason, Mr. Backpacking with Jason.
Sir.
And we have a little trip scheduled with him and a few of us, including you, very, very soon. I don't know how soon it is relative to this. It might have already happened by the time we put out this podcast, but he asked me, like, what kind of video camera am I shooting with? Because I started doing YouTube too. Like, my first trip was in June, I believe, like late May, early June, something like that, my first ever trip. And then in October, I started writing a blog about backpacking and sharing my stories. And then I bought, after talking to Our World Outdoors, Tony, he's like, dude, you got to start videoing this stuff. And I like bought a little camera or started using my phone or something. And I got to know Jason. And he was like, what kind of camera are you using? I told him, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, dude, you know where I got my information from? He's like, I started watching Tim Watson's videos. And he was like, man, those look really good. So he messaged you, I believe, if I'm getting this right.
Yeah, he did.
And he was like, what kind of camera do you use? And what did you tell him?
I told him I use my phone. That's the only thing he's ever seen.
Is that not insane?
Yep.
Every single video you've ever seen on my channel is a cell phone. And so when I first started back then, I believe it was the iPhone 6. And that did not have the physical optical image stabilization that the newer iPhones have.
Right.
And so that way you could definitely tell it was more like digital smoothing. And I hated that look. I actually turned it off. I'd rather see the jarry look than, than you're gonna make yourself sick look. But yeah, it's all been cell phones. And then I was super excited. I remember following the iPhone when it finally came out with the physical optical image stabilization on the phone. I think it was the 7 or 7 Plus. I don't remember which one it was. And I was being like, I'm getting that. And then is when people started commenting about the quality more than anything else. And I'm like, hey, this is just my phone. And for a long time, I just actually edited on my phone as well. I used iMovie.
Really?
I used iMovie for a long time. And just everything was like, hey, it's on my phone, edit in iMovie, and pull it up to YouTube.
Yeah, you can do so much stuff with minimal equipment. Like, sometimes people message me and stuff about like getting started on YouTube. And I'll be like, dude, your phone and computer can do anything. Like, if you're worried about getting subscribers and stuff, like, your phone can get you your first 1,000 subscribers before you ever think about upgrading anything.
Yeah.
Because most people, whenever they start something new, they just quit because, you know, you're starting, you don't know how difficult it's going to be, and you don't even know if you'll like it. Like, that's why I borrowed all my equipment whenever I first started backpacking, is I was like, man, if this sucks, I don't want to spend $1,000, $1,500 on all this stuff and then just have to turn around and take a big price drop and sell it. So phone's where it's at, man.
The big thing for me is actually at one point, I think when the channel was getting really hot, relatively hot, where I think I had just broken 10,000 subs or something. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to get a camera. I'm going to be like a big boy now. I'm definitely going to do this. I think I bought a Canon Rebel, EOS Rebel or something. It was really highly rated. And I'm like, I bought it and I just hated the workflow. Like, it just disrupted me to the point where I'm like, okay, so I have this new camera. I figure it out. And then I have to pull out this memory card and then I put it onto the computer. And I was like, So I actually returned it. I was like, no, this is not for me.
It's demotivating.
Well, it's funny you say that because Jeremiah and I, we both have DSLR cameras. Well, I have a DSLR. You have a mirrorless camera, but basically the same thing. But we took those out for trips for a while, and now we've both gone back to iPhones.
Yeah, the newest iPhone. Because it looks, the only thing that I don't like about it, and I did notice the image stabilization, you was talking about that. I was going to add, like the new phones now, the image stabilization is so good. I followed Quicksand on the trail, and he was doing the AT, and it got controversial and stuff. But I watched his videos, and he was using a Samsung, like the newest Samsung Galaxy or something. And I thought the entire time he had a gimbal until like a few days before his last video. He was like, I just wanted to show everybody that this whole time all you needed was a phone and a tripod. And he had, what's the little tripod that we have? Yours broke. The Ultra Pod.
Yeah, the Ultra Pod.
He had like the big one, and that was it. And I was like, I thought the whole time he had a gimbal, and it was just his phone. But I got that new iPhone, and the only thing I don't like about it is two things. The microphone, iPhones have 3 microphones. They have one at the bottom, one at the place the sound comes out at your ear at the top, and one on the back where the camera is. And that's how they're like canceling out noise and stuff around you. And you can hear, I don't know if my audience can hear on YouTube. They probably can if they start listening now. You know, it's like when you're a teacher and
you're opening yourself up to criticism now, basically.
It's like you tell them, then they start noticing. But I can hear, like, if I'm editing it and I have headphones, I edit with headphones, you know, because you want to hear the sound quality as best as you can. And you can kind of hear the dominant ear, what the microphone's kind of pointing toward. And I don't like that. And it doesn't have like the little regular microphone input on phone. You have to use an adapter. So I was like, no. Yeah. And then secondly, the colors are kind of changed a little bit. I don't know if it's the HDR or what, but the color correction, it's like impossible because it'll change like yellows and greens.
Yeah.
But the workflow, dude, I switched to a PC because I had to build it and pay for it. And it was so much cheaper than a Mac. I was editing everything on Mac. And the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life is take videos, like gigs of videos from your iPhone and put them on PC. It's pretty much impossible. I challenge anybody to do it. I had to put them on my Mac, put them on an SD card, put the SD card in my computer, and then put them on my computer. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's what you get.
I should have stuck with Mac.
That's what you get, man. You just have to deal with that.
Yeah, but Tim, your quality's top notch, man. I can't believe everything's just done on a cell phone. Even in your like house, I noticed you have the bookshelf, and you do like little, I don't know, you like switch the books around and stuff when you're talking. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed that. That was actually a corner of our spare room that I just commandeered, and I said to my wife, "Hey, I'm just going to use this corner." And I just set up that little. It's like just like a little corner in my spare room, and I bumped it up. I felt like it really bumped it up by having like studio lights, and playing around with lights and making sure there's not a whole lot of shadow or it's not too bright, and just like little fun things like that, changing out to whatever books I'm reading is kind of fun to do, and so that people notice. I'm surprised at how many people notice stuff like that. Like I didn't announce it, I didn't say anything until later, and then people are really like, because I mean, you're watching somebody. You're really like watching and examining everything in the background.
Yeah, that's extreme.
And so people are like, "Hey, I saw on your top shelf of your bookshelf that you have this book. What do you think of it? Who's your favorite author?" I can tell you like Brandon Sanderson. And so it's funny to see the comments that come through.
That's awesome.
What's the last book you read?
I just finished rereading The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Man, it's been 20 years since I read that book.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I read it through in college, and I was talking about it with my kids, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to read that again.
Yeah,
so I just started reading it.
I read it in college too. That's when I read it. Yeah, I was in college 20 years ago, Jeremiah.
Yeah,
You're looking at me with this like stunned look on your face.
Well,
that was 20 some years ago, Jeremiah.
I was gonna say, I watched the movies for the first time in college, and I've never read the books.
Okay, funny thing, I have to tell Tim about this.
All right, tell him.
So I don't know how the conversation came up. I think it came up 6 or 8 months ago, and it was Jeremiah and Jason and I were out at the Red River Gorge, and we're talking about people we've backpacked with and stuff, and they had mentioned, that they'd gone out on a trip with you, and I said, "So what's Tim like?" And Jeremiah goes, "I don't know, but I think he psychoanalyzes me every time I'm talking to him."
He's doing it right now. I can feel it. What's your day job, Tim?
So I'm a school psychologist.
Okay. See, that's why
so
I think.
Most people say that. Like I work for a school district here in rural Ohio. We only have about 1,600 kids, K-12. and so I'm the only one that I cover our school.
Wow, that's a big job.
Yeah, I think I'm right about where the max of what I can do. Like any more, and it'll just get too much. Like I think in Ohio, I think the average ratio I'm supposed to have another of me for 1,600 kids.
Yeah,
But
that's a lot of kids. That's a lot of kids. I mean, high schools that are smaller than that will have 2.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. So here's the big question then. Are you psychoanalyzing Jeremiah every time you talk to him? And if you are, what are you figuring out?
I am not. I usually do not. But what I do is I love observing people and people watching and like trying to figure people out. I don't know if I guess you would call that psychoanalyzing, but it's trying to figure out motivations and why people think what they do. And so I just have fun with that.
That's cool. Well, I was really hoping you were psychoanalyzing him so you could give us some insights as to what you've figured out about Jeremiah, because I don't think any of the rest of us know what to think of Jeremiah half the time.
Nobody's got a clue, dude.
It's just trying to figure that one out.
We know a couple other people that are backpackers and do YouTube, but their day job are police officers. And I remember sitting and eating with them, and they were like, "Do you mind if I sit over here?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine. I don't care." And we were like in a Dairy Queen or something. And I was like, "So I'm just curious, why do y'all want to sit over there?" And they were like, "Well, we like to see all the exits." And I was like, "Why do you like to see all the exits?" And they're like, "I don't know. It's just ingrained in us because of their training. They do so much training and stuff that they want to see all the exits." And they also, I'm like, "Well, what are you looking for on people?" And they're like, "We just subconsciously now, they're checking where people's hands are, right? They're looking and they check their waistline." And I'm like, wow, I never would have thought. And I guarantee you, I do stuff like that as a teacher, not like looking for danger and checking my surroundings and stuff. But
now, for those of you who are listening right now, he's talking about Miyagi and Trips.
Yeah.
And they are two really cool, cool people from Wisconsin that we actually got to become friends with from doing a hammock hang with them back in November.
Yeah,
or last October, Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan.
And Miyagi's a cool guy. He actually just started his own hammock company.
Did he start his own hammock company?
He's actually got the I forget what the name of it is now. Dang it,
man!
But he just started up, and
up.
they're on Instagram. So if I could look up on my phone, but they I think it's called Trailcraft, maybe.
Dude, no way! Somebody just emailed me like yesterday or the day before and asked me, "Does Miyagi actually make those for like a job, or is he just doing that for fun?" And I was like, "Nah, dude, he just does it for fun." I was like, "You need to check out." Like Dream Hammocks or something. And now I got to go back and email him.
And you know he's going to be listening to this too. So he's going to love the fact that you told people that he doesn't sell stuff.
Sorry. I gotta hook back up with him, man. Yeah, he lives up in Wisconsin. I remember, speaking of hammocks, I was on a trip with Tim, and you handed me your backpack. Do you remember this? On the last day. And I felt to that backpack, and I guarantee you it was like 8 pounds. It was like nothing. And my backpack was like 35 pounds.
Well, you're ultralight though, Jeremiah. Jeremiah, you're really ultralight.
Tim, tell us about it. Why is my backpack 35 pounds and you hand me yours and I can like wear them both? I could wear yours in the front comfortably and mine in the back.
I'm sure you could, especially on that last day. That's like some of my favorite parts. Is just because you have more traditional gear. I mean, especially when I see you out with your wife, you have to accommodate for her too, things you want to carry. So like my stuff is pretty much like, especially in the summer months, it's pretty stripped down. And it took a while to get to that point. But I love my pack. It's a Superior Wilderness Designs frameless pack. And I pretty much love that thing in the summer. Because once food is out, I mean, it's so light. I just have my hammock, my quilt in there, and my pad is the bulk of it. And the rest of the stuff is just like ditty bag type stuff. And yeah, that was a fun trip. That was the one with a cloud splitter in Red River Gorge, wasn't it?
Yeah, dude, you climbed right up that like a madman, like nothing.
Man's got skills.
People's got to go back and watch the video of this. Tim was pretty much jogging up cloud splitter.
Really?
Yeah.
How tall? Tim, how tall are you?
6'1".
6'1". Okay, so he's you tall guys has big long legs.
He's tall.
It's not like us midgets that have like super short legs that I watch.
Nah, dude.
I watch. Well, I'll go hiking with this guy, and he just stepped on that rock right there, and I'm like, Jeremiah, that's like 27 feet away from me.
Yeah,
and
no
he just
biggie,
steps
dude.
on it like it's nothing.
Bridget got so mad on her last trip. You'll have to watch the video. I haven't put it out yet. But she was angry and she was like, what the heck? I can't get over all these trees and stuff. I was like, just step here. And she's like, my leg won't go that high. And I was like, no, there's nothing I can do.
Funny story is that, even through that cloud splitter stuff, I actually am afraid of heights. I'm not a big fan of heights. It took me, it was a lot worse when I was a kid. But I just pretty much swallow whatever fear I have and be like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And, so even that rope climb that we did up Cloud Splitter, Jeremiah, not a fan, but I do it anyway. I just push myself to get it done.
Tell them about the cave that we went in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
because I couldn't get up there.
You didn't come in with us?
Yeah, but I had to come in afterward. I was defeated. I was so angry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You and Jason were kind of like that, weren't you? You were mad at yourself.
Yeah, and I just had to get in there because everybody else could do it. I saw two girls climbing out, and I was like, I have to get in there.
Yep.
That's the worst, too. When you see somebody who you should be able to hike at least as well as they do, and you can't do it, that is the worst.
Yeah, so there's this giant, I don't know how to describe it, just a giant crack. Imagine this giant stone, and it has a crack right down the middle, enough for a person to pass. And you're walking into this crack stone, and you look up, and you start seeing the sky get less and less because the crack is narrowing.
Yeah.
And you pretty much, someone put a log there, and you pretty much have to scramble up this log, pull yourself into this crevice, and then you have to chimney your way across this crack as far as you can go, and then drop down. And then you're kind of underneath this cave that's underneath the actual cloud splitter. So it's a cloud splitter cave. I'm not sure what they call it. And that was actually that was a lot of fun to do, but it was definitely more technical, I guess people would call it.
Right. Well, I have
more
a question.
like
I actually have a question for you. You mentioned that you're using a frameless pack. I've only done 2 trips of mine so far, but I have a frameless pack right now, and I got a ULA. It's a ULA CDT. And just actually, it was funny. The backpacking flea market on Facebook, they do these sticker things where you buy a pack of stickers and you get put in a raffle, and I actually won one of them. And so,
nice.
And so I picked up the pack, and I've used it a couple times, and I haven't quite dialed it in yet. And so, how long did it take you to figure yours out to really get it dialed into where it was like really comfortable for you? Because I'm still not there yet.
How heavy is your pack when you pack it up? What you guess?
I'm gonna guess. I mean, it's under 20 pounds.
Okay, yeah,
I'd say it's under 20 pounds.
Fine. I think for me, it took me a couple trips to really get it to where it felt dialed in. Because, like and you probably figured out, like you got to be really careful where you put certain things in a frameless pack, or else you're going to feel that the entire time you're walking.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it just took me a couple of times of like figuring out, okay, well, the heavy quotation mark things in the bottom. So like heavy but bulky, I guess. So like my clothes are down at the bottom, my clothes are down at the bottom, and then that middle part closest to my back is usually like food or those heavy things, like my sitting pad is there as well. And then the top is just the ditty stuff, little things that I don't really care a whole lot about, just in that ditty bag. And the lighter stuff goes on top. And so, yeah, I'm actually not, of course, I'm not going frameless this upcoming trip.
No.
Without too much food.
Yeah.
Too much food weight.
Yep. So do you prefer the frameless over the frame pack then?
It depends. In the summer, yeah. In the summer, I'll go frameless all the time. But like if it's a longer, so let me say 2 to 3 days. If it's longer than that, I'd rather have the frame pack.
Yeah.
Just because the amount of food weight you're carrying, like it just does not. I could probably do it and be uncomfortable for a day or two until I eat that stuff out. But I just enjoy, especially Superior Wilderness Designs. They do a nice job of the padding on the shoulder straps. I do not miss having a hip belt at all. Once you get light enough, like the hip belt's actually kind of annoying now.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. I'd rather have it on my shoulders.
What's the underquilt that you're using, and what temperature too? For like
don't use
your frameless.
You mean just the top quilt?
Oh, you only use a pad.
Yeah, he uses a pad.
Yeah.
You have like the double layer hammock, right?
No, I
No,
don't
I
have
do.
double layer.
Oh, you
I
just
have
do
a
a single layer and put the pad right in there with you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, my top quilt is an Enlightened Equipment Enigma, and I always get the 20. I find like it's a nice sweet spot for. I can use it like I'm going to take it to Colorado because you never know in those mountain temperatures, and you can also go a little further into winter with it too.
Yeah, I got to tell you, dude. After using the pad in the hammock, I will never do that again. I would rather not go. I would rather not go than have to use that pad in the hammock. I will never, under any circumstances, unless I'm going to get like hypothermia or something, will I ever do that again.
Well, have you seen the new banyan hammocks that Dutchware puts out?
Well,
Have
if
you
it's a
seen those?
bridge hammock and you could put the pad in there and it's like sleeping in a tent,
Yeah, like Kevin
then I
Schill-
don't have a problem.
Kevin Schill did one where he put the pad in the banyan hammock, and it
That's
looked like a
different.
bed.
That's different, man. That sounds comfortable
Yeah,
because you're giving cushion under the pad instead of on the ground.
well, and it's the only time I've ever seen a hammock look flat.
Yeah, they always do have a little bit of banana, even if
Yeah.
you're like have a good flat lay.
Yeah, he almost convinced me to fork out like $300. I'm not going to, but he almost convinced me to.
Dude, Miyagi, he is planning on making me a bridge hammock to try out because I was like, dude, we need to do a single layer hammock because this one's cool for the wintertime and it's double layer, and I had double layer so I could do the pad.
Yeah.
And you can't remove the layer. And I was like, can we make one with like a removable net that is single layer so it's lighter and I can use it in the summer? I can put the net in. If I want to use it in the winter, I can take the net off and go lighter because the quilt's heavier and all that, you know. And he was like, yeah, dude, but you need to try out a bridge hammock. He's going to send me a couple poles to stick in it and try out. I was like, can you make a bridge hammock? He's like, oh, bro, I got you. So I'm excited to try out the bridge hammock.
I have a feeling you're going to be his spokesperson when this is all said and done.
Well, I don't know, man.
He made you what, a 12-foot hammock, right? A 12-foot hammock
A 13-foot tarp.
and a 13-foot tarp.
Yeah, I love
Wow.
that guy. He is amazing.
That alone is why your gear's so heavy.
Yeah, dude. Well, I'm a big guy, man.
You are a big guy.
Yeah, Tim's 6'1", tall, dark, and handsome, and I'm 6'3", and like pale.
You do realize that when you shave that beard off, Tim will be the unquestioned king of facial hair between the two of you because you will have none. So,
Why are you shaving, Jeremiah? Bridget doesn't want it anymore.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense either. Jason Helmendaler, shout out to him. He's got a YouTube channel too. I've talked about him before, but he makes his own beard oil, and he sent me a brush, like a boar's hair brush.
Or-
Yeah, and a comb, and some oil and some balm. And I'll be using that oil every morning. He's about to send me some more, and some balm every night. And it is soft, man. Feel this. Feel that.
right now, if you're listening, I am rubbing Jeremiah's beard, which is really uncomfortable. I just want to point that
Is
out.
it soft or not? Is it soft?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Feels like I'm petting a goat.
Exactly, dude. It's like facial hair is not supposed to be soft, but through the help of Jason Helmendaler, it is. It's usually like real brittle. And I was like, Bridget, look, this is like extra cushion. You can lay your head right here. This is comfy. She's like, no, I hate it.
I don't
But
think she's buying that at all.
In her defense, whenever we met, I had baby face.
You did.
So-
But you also weighed 100 pounds more.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And speaking of, I want to ask Tim about this because we haven't talked about our trip, but we talked a little bit off air about training, and we're going to be doing some kind of mountain climbing type deal out in Colorado. Official announcement, I guess. And you told me we have a couple of mountains, I think 2 in one day, that are like 12,000 foot. And I want to know how you're getting ready because I'm not ready. And the flight's like
You're not ready and you're
the
leaving
flight- I still have no idea what I'm taking. My body's not in shape, but we still have 3 days.
Wow.
So yeah, I think we have 2 passes. I don't think we'll try to do them both in one day.
Oh, okay.
I think they'll be in back-to-back days. But I think 12.5, I think, are the highest passes that we're going over, which is pretty much comparable to what we did. I did a couple years ago in 4-pass loop once again in Colorado. And but 4-pass loop forces you to do 2 passes in the first day, and then a pass every single day after that. The nice thing about the area that we're going is, you can just do back-to-back days, and 12.5 is what we're doing. In terms of like what I'm doing, I've been getting back into running. The only time I run, honestly, is when I train. You can't really train for altitude, but to me, it still helps you with your breathing. Because I mean, I'm pretty much like what I think I'm 700 feet above sea level here, right where I'm at.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and so the big thing for me is like regulating your breathing and watching your heart rate. And so like running helps me be able to like run and still breathe, and I can still talk, and that way I can manage when you're going up. Because when you're walking there, you you realize that your heart is pumping faster than it
Yes.
should be.
Yes.
It's a very odd feeling, because once you get up to that height, you're like, I know I can do this. I can do this on the East Coast without a problem. Once you get there, there's just less oxygen in your ear. You're huffing and puffing a lot more, and so the key thing for me, I'm talking a lot now. The key thing for me is to force myself to slow down, because if you don't, you're going to be in for a world of hurt later.
It's interesting you say that. When I did Kilimanjaro a few years back, I was training for that. One of the things I actually trained with was an elevation mask. I don't know if you've ever seen those or not. You basically look like Bane from the Batman movies. But that actually, believe it or not, did help quite a bit, because I would go hiking, but I would wear that elevation mask and have it take away. Basically, I would have the oxygen level that you would have on top of Kilimanjaro. So I would set it so you could barely get any air. And it really does train your lungs, which was nice. It did help for that trip. But one of the things that the guys in Tanzania that were guiding us up the mountain said all the time was pole pole, which is Swahili for slow, slow. In other words, don't rush it, because you're not getting the same oxygen. You just have to slow the pace down, because if you don't, you'll pass out. And it happens all the time to people if they don't know about that or think about it. You hear about it happening in the high Sierras. You hear about it happening on places like Kilimanjaro. And I mean, I think the height that we got to was 19,500. I should know that number because I did it, but it's really up there. Wow. And I remember that it took 5.5 days to go up, and that was because they want you to acclimate. Because if you were just to go up real quick, you would probably be in big trouble.
You get the gins?
Some people did. Yeah, some people did. There's a medicine you can take. I wish I could remember the name of it now, but it's a tablet you can take. Yeah, Diamox. Exactly. Yeah. And I took that. We always used to joke though about the Diamox Jitters, because you'd take it and you would feel these like tingling feelings all through your fingers, like about 30 minutes after you would take it. But then it would go away and you'd be fine. But it's just like 30 minutes after you'd feel this like weird tingly feeling.
I think you have to pee a lot. I think it's a diuretic.
Yeah, it does. It does cause you drink a lot of water when you're doing it. But of course, on top of Kilimanjaro, it's not very hot. You're really not sweating much. Like you start out at the bottom of the mountain at like 65 degrees, and then it goes from like 65 degrees to 50 degrees, and then the next night you're sleeping, it's like 40. And by the time you're going to when we summited Kilimanjaro, the temperature was 0 with a -30 wind chill and 30-mile-an-hour winds.
Ooh.
And so it was chilly, but that's why they want you to acclimate, because you just don't know there's some guys I know that have summited and it was only like 30 degrees up on top of the mountain. They were fine. But we just happened to get that one year that it was just awful. It was like subarctic. And, but it's like you said, you can train for the altitude. You can train for it, but until you experience it, you really just don't know what you're dealing with until you get there. And so, and it's right around.
Jeremiah, you'll be seeing me stop a lot, just so you know. There'll be times I'm like, I'm just need a break. I'm going to drink some water now.
Dude, that's cool with me.
And you should.
Do we have to? Yeah. I know that we're not really taking micro spikes, and I don't even own them, but I was only at like 4,000 or 5,000 feet in Vermont in June, and we found a little bit of snow and some shadows on Mount Mansfield, which was the highest point in the state. And we had a little snowball fight. So I assume that we're at least going to see snow, but I'm hoping it's not too dangerous, because I don't have any experience with anything like that.
We might see snow. I think when we did Four Pass Loop, it was a big snow year, and there was only like one snow field that we crossed. I remember being like, I prayed the entire time, dear God, please don't let us fall, because it was like the snow was like sloped completely all over the trail, and there was no way around it, and it was this rock field, and so pretty much it was like, so the thing I remembered was kick step. So you kicked your foot into the snow and step forward, kick again, step, kick, step, and crossing that, I jammed my trekking poles as far down as it would go, and the reason is that you're on the slope and there's no way to stop. If you were to slide or slip, the only stop would be like, I think it was a giant lake that you would fall into off of this cliff. But yeah, I'm not expecting anything like that in this. Like, it's where we're at should be. I haven't seen any snow warnings or anything going on.
And that's like mechanical injury and hypothermia waiting to happen.
Yeah.
That sounds awful. Speaking of altitude, you're talking about that. Some of the listeners may have heard a little bit about this, so I'll make it quick. But I lived in Quito, Ecuador for a month doing an internship, and the elevation was a little over 10,000 or 11,000 feet. And I played basketball once. I played a lot of pickup basketball. Their soccer was huge, but I have no foot-eye coordination, and I'm like this tall, white American, and I found some basketball courts in the city park, and they were playing, and I remember sprinting one time down the court to like try to chase down a block or something, and I jogged back down to our side, and it was like breathing through a straw, man. I was breathing in big breaths, but it felt like you was getting no oxygen. And I'm right there with you on the stopping. And I love snacks too, so anytime we stop.
It's a good time to snack up.
Exactly.
So yeah, I remember trying to double up my water intake too was super helpful. Like whenever I can, like, because I think on the east, like sometimes I'll stretch it and be like, I don't know, I need water now. I don't know when the next water source is, but out there I made sure to like pound water as much as possible.
Yeah, altitude sickness is no joke. It's no joke. I watched some people get pretty sick, and I watched some really athletic, healthy dudes get really sick up on a mountain. We had a whole group of guys from Sweden in front of us, and they partied all night the night before the going up to the summit, and woke up the next morning, got up before us, and they were going to beat us up there. And then halfway up, we start seeing casualties. And there's just guy after guy after guy who just couldn't make it, was thrown up, was crying.
What do they
do? Headaches.
Do they just go home?
Yeah, they never went up. They never made it up.
They just go home?
Yeah, there's something like, not everybody who does Kilimanjaro makes it.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. But
they don't. And you really, like, that's why it's so important. Even like with Colorado, I mean, you've got to know where you're going and what you're going up against.
Yeah.
And if you don't prepare yourself for it, you're not going to make it. I mean, that's anything you do. You know?
Well, I've been drinking a cup of coffee and smoking 2 cigarettes for breakfast. That's how I'm preparing. So I think we're golden, actually.
So yeah, the big thing is, I think, like as soon as you start seeing symptoms like that, you should go down. It's the big thing.
Yeah.
So, like, I know we kind of changed our schedule a little bit, Jeremiah. That's probably for the best, because once we get those 2 days out of the way, it's pretty much a gradual, slow downhill, in terms of the overall profile. So that's good, because I think once we're heading our way down, like once you hit about 10,000, there shouldn't be a whole lot that you're feeling anymore. At least that's how it was for me. Once I started hitting down, in the mid 10s, I was fine, back to fairly normal.
Good. I didn't know we changed the schedule, but that sounds good to me. I'm excited, man. How many nights in the woods are we spending out there?
I think 4.
4 nights or 4 days?
I think it's 4 nights.
You don't even know how long you're going to be gone. You're going on a trip and you don't even know how long you're gone.
Dude, I know when the flight leaves. And they told me, bring winter gear. I was like, all right.
Really?
For real, bro?
Okay, so here's a question for you, because you guys you're not bringing hammocks for this. Is that not possible on this trail, or did you guys just make the decision to do that, or what was the plan with that? I think
it's doable to do hammocks. The reason I didn't do it is because everyone's pretty much bringing tents, and I hate to be that guy who's like, well, we got to go a little lower, guys, because I need trees.
So you didn't want to be a diva is basically what it comes down to.
Yeah. So this way the option is there if we want to camp higher, because, hey, this is a really cool spot here, looking out on this area, we can stop. Because there are a couple times I remember on Four Pass where I'm like, oh, this would be a cool campsite, but I couldn't because there weren't trees there.
Yep.
And so,
Is it wide open for tents?
yeah, it's pretty much like dispersed camping for like how Dolly Sods is, where you don't need a permit or a specific campsite.
Oh, that's nice.
As long as you're following the wilderness rules, you should be fine. Camping pretty much wherever.
Well, for the record, for all those people that, well, probably lack thereof people that were going to email me or message me saying, you know, I'm an idiot for not preparing, I will take the time to figure out the topography and actually look at the map and go through my gear. But I have some experience, so I think we'll be good.
You've been on at least two backpacking trips in your life.
At least two. And, I mean, no better time to try out new gear than at 12,000 foot. Right?
Exactly. Just bring it all.
I'm just kidding.
Well, it's a funny story you mentioned that because we were supposed to go to Utah. We were gonna backpack with Devin this spring.
Oh,
we were supposed to head down there and backpack with him, and he told me, he said, you're not gonna be able to bring a hammock. He said you're gonna have to bring a tent. And so I went out and got myself a new tent, and Corona happened.
Yep. Got screwed on that one.
And I don't use a tent anymore, hardly ever. So now I've got this like $250. Well, it was worth more than that, but it was on sale. But I got a $250 paperweight sitting in my garage right now. It's kind of depressing.
Side note, not to detract, but Devin is an awesome guy.
Yeah, he is.
And you guys already know that. I mean, he is like fantastic. One of the best people. I think just you meet like a ton of people on YouTube, and he is just such a good guy. I think when we told him 2 years ago that we wanted to go to Utah, he was so jazzed about it. He was jazzed when we were there, and he was just such a great host. So
yeah, he was gonna be our trail dad. Like he and I were kind of working the details out on it, and we were trying to figure out what the weather was going to be like because we were going the beginning of June. So if the weather was good enough, we were going to hit the Uintas. If it was a little too cold before that, we were going to go do the desert. And he already had both ideas of what he wanted to do with it, and was explaining like where we need to fly in, how many cars we need to rent. I mean, he's a genius when it comes to backpacking, and he teaches a college course on it. Yeah. So I mean, it makes sense that he would know that. But you're right, he is one of the most genuine, kind people you're going to meet.
He's so knowledgeable. He's got a great YouTube channel too, and great podcast.
Well, he's the one that actually, it's funny because he and I both started talking about doing a podcast at the same time.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, he's got a podcast. And
just like that?
Yeah, just like that. And so I called him up and I said, hey, man, tell me what you did. Tell me how you... And so everything that we're doing, a lot of it is from talking to Devin.
Yeah, and I was on his podcast, and he was like, hold on a second, I got to scoot around. And you know why his sound was so good? He was buried in his clothes closet, and it was trapping all the sound. Like it was just sound dead, you know, because his voice was hitting all the clothes, and it just killed it. I was like, man, that sounds fantastic. And he's like, yeah, I'm just sitting here in the closet. Hold on just a second. Let me plug this up. He knows what's up, man.
Well, here's the fun thing, and Tim, I think you would agree with this too. But one of the cool things about meeting the different guys that are on YouTube is you realize there's just a lot of family guys, a lot of guys who just they have families, wives, kids, live normal lives. They just really enjoy backpacking and making videos about them. And you find some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life I've met in the last year from YouTube. So it's just some good people out there.
Most of them are super cool.
Yeah.
I'd say Tim's met a lot. He's a YouTube OG.
Yeah. What was it? The Shill brothers called him? They called him our leader.
Did they say that?
I forget what video it was on. It was it might have been a year ago. They said something about it.
He said something. Yeah, they said something. It was funny because I remember when they started their channel. I was like, oh, these guys are cool. Like they're brothers and they're hanging out and they're backpacking together. And I remember watching their stuff because they liked it when I did. This is so many years ago now. I did the waterproofing test for my arc haul, and they saw that and they made their own video where they put on scuba gear and their arc haul and dove into a pond.
Wow!
I have not seen that.
They can scuba dive.
Oh, you have to find the arc haul video that they did where they tested out the waterproofness, and they ended it with that.
I didn't even know they did scuba diving.
They must, because they definitely had a scuba or a wetsuit on. I want to say they had a scuba tank and stuff. But yeah,
well, apparently
that was years ago.
Yeah, apparently they do everything because like they've had their parents on like Mother's Day and Father's Day this year. They did a Mother's Day and a Father's Day thing, and between the two, they talked about all the different hobbies they've had. And it's like I think they've been into everything outside. If it's outside, they've done it basically. Especially Andy. Which, by the way, have you guys have listened to their podcast? Have you?
I didn't even know they had a podcast. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I heard it.
Have you heard it yet, Tim? Have you listened to their podcast?
No, I have not. No.
Andy's voice is butter.
Really?
That dude just needs to do radio for a living. He has the best. I mean, his voice is so. His voice is really deep.
It's the chocolate milk, man.
It is, man.
Chocolate milk.
I'll tell you, the next time I see him, I need to be like, dude, you need to be in radio full time because your voice is butter. It's amazing. I was so impressed. Like I listened to him, I was like, I just want to like give him a book every night and say, will you just call me and read to me and like so I can go to sleep.
He's got the next Morgan Freeman voice.
Man, he needs to do narration and like commercials and stuff. Like he's got the voice for it.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to listen to it, man. Just listen to their podcast and then you can call me as soon as you're done and go, you're right. Butter.
Oh, what were we talking about our Colorado trip? Oh yeah, the hammocks. I was gonna say, I would have done a hammock, dude. I prefer it now, but I was gonna be the only one doing the hammock too, and mine was gonna be so heavy because it's all my winter gear and it's a 0-degree underquilt and it's 15-degree overquilt.
Well, not anymore. You've got a new underquilt.
Yeah, I got a new underquilt today, but it's a 40-degree underquilt from UGQ. Thank you, Chad, for sending that to me. And I'm going to do a review on that later on, but I couldn't have taken it on this trip because I don't think it would have been warm enough at those altitudes. Yeah. I just want to be safe too because you said you're bringing, a 20-degree top quilt.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll be surprised at how fast the temperature drops. Once the sun goes over the mountains, like it drops pretty dramatically, or it can.
Well, Backpacking with Jason sent me a screenshot of the weather for the location we're going to. I don't know what the nearest city is, but that was what he typed in, and the lows were like, around 40 degrees at night. I was like, yeah, man, that's cold, because I was going to like head out this week here, and the low was like, 70,
Yeah.
When I went out a couple weeks ago to Hanson's Point, just did an overnight out there real quick, and the lowest it got down to was 76. So, I mean, I had a Costco 40-degree quilt, and it wasn't even a full-length thing. It was just covering basically my shoulders down to my ankles.
Did you do an underquilt?
That was the underquilt, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was, I didn't need anything else because it was so stinking hot.
Yeah.
You're not going to have that in Colorado.
It's cold up there.
Not even going to be close to that in Colorado.
Tim, are you doing the Neo Air?
Yep, that's what I use pretty much year round, except even I pretty much use it year round. The Neo Air X-Therm.
X-Therm, yeah, that's supposed to be a warmer temperature because I have the yellow one, the X-Lite.
Yeah, I love how much heat that thing reflects. Like I pretty much toss off everything off of me and just have that, and it's like laying on a car seat warmer.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I need to get one.
So you're not going to cave to pressure and move to Nemo like a bunch of other people have?
No, I'm too big a fan.
You're a fanboy for
yeah, I really, really like it.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that love Thermarest. The buddy I did the Sheltoe Trace with, he swears by him. Actually, he just got the, what's the Uber Light? The little, the really light one. Yeah. We went and did some of the Big South Fork, I guess back in April or May or something like that. And he used his Uber Light.
I've been curious about that. That's crazy. Well, Tim, we've done an hour, man. That fast.
Oh, wow. That went fast.
Yes. Tell everybody where they can find your stuff.
Well, the nice thing about having such like a distinctive name is if you Google Tim Watson on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, you'll find me. And so Tim Watson or Tim Watson Outdoors, and I'll show up, I'm sure.
That's what's up,
man.
That's
awesome, man.
Thanks so much for coming on.
We really appreciate you being on the show,
man.
I
appreciate you having me.
It's definitely good to chat with you for the first time. Hopefully get to do this again sometime.
Sure. Anytime.
Yeah, awesome, dude. Man. I'll see you in a couple days.
Yeah.
Take us out, JK.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Tim. We appreciate you being here. And thank you for tuning in today to the Backpacking Podcast. As always, I'm here with my cohort in crime, Mr. Jeremiah Stringer. and we will catch you on the next go round.
Adios.